This Discover Mirrorless vlog post is brought to you by the ABCs of LED Premium Video, available at ShootSmarterUniversity.com. Hey, it's Crockett, and welcome to Crockettville. I just got back from the WPPI Roadshow event. Pretty good. It's kind of lame, not really worth the $250 or whatever it was, but whatever. Giulio Sciorio, the famous hybrid hero here from Discover Mirrorless, did a great job on his hybrid, his kind of intro to hybrid seminar. It was really cool. One of the things that I love to do when I go to these events is I get to talk to photographers that don't know that I'm maybe an educator and don't I'm a commercial photographer. They get a chance just to chit-chat as a photographer, and I like that a lot. Well, I am starting to see a little bit of a trend that I wanted to buzz past you, and that is, I get it that a lot of photographers create in the camera, and that's great. I'm all about adding flavor to your style of imaging. Now, I just want to make sure that the photographers that only shoot in RAW and they've got their workflow system down and they've got a series of actions and that's what they're selling, right? People will come in and they'll look at the picture and go, oh, I love how that looks square and it's got a blue thing to it. Oh yeah, that's my whatever signature thing. I get it. It's totally fine. And I'm not criticizing it at all. The problem is when you're going to translate that into video, we got ourselves a big problem, right? So here's just a couple things I wanted to throw your way. You really need to give some thought to how you're going to develop your own flavor of imaging, be it photo or video, it doesn't matter. That's one of the things that I struggle with a little bit, but I'm getting much better on with my commercial imaging, right? I'm going to show you some examples. I'm going to shoot this vlog post with 2 different cameras, and then I'm going to change the in-camera settings. I'm going to do nothing in post because I want to show you what cameras have as far as offering your flavor, right? Plus, you also have to realize, too, that there isn't going to be a mainstream raw video. There were some people that I met at this event that said, oh, you know, I'm waiting to move over into talking portraiture until we get raw video because I want great quality. Well, okay, I got it. What they're saying is they don't know how to make proper exposure and white balance adjustments in the camera, that they have to rely on the computer to repair all that stuff. And if that's the way you are, that's okay. Just don't get mad at me. Just realize you've got to get those skills, particularly when it comes to lighting and exposure and white balance, all that stuff. You got to get that figured out because making those corrections in post when it comes to video is really hard to do. I mean, you don't want to do this, right? So let me show you something. This vlog post I'm shooting is on a Fuji XE1 with their beautiful 60mm lens shot wide open, which I believe is f2, I don't know, maybe 2.8. And it's in, for me, the standard mode, which is a film simulation mode called Velovia, and that's a transparency film I used to shoot for decades. Now, it's got my signature style, my flavor, if you will. It's got a hard black, hard enough black. It's got, you know, accent on skin tones. The color saturation's a little higher. It's the tone curve is adjusted a little bit, so it's not flatlined. It's what I want, right? Okay, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go back and forth between a Fuji XE1 camera and my Lumix GH2 or GH3. They're both pretty much the same, right? Let me show you a different in-camera flavor. Ready? This is the standard look on the Lumix GH2. Now, it's the same equivalent lens, right? I'm trying to make this the same. We're shooting at the same time, 2 cameras actually back to back. So let me go back to the Fuji camera and let me put it into one of the more exaggerated flavors. It's called Velovia. Velovia is a super high color saturation film. Now, this is going to look a little funky, but I just want to show you what we have to work with. Well, now we're back to the Fuji XE in Velovia mode, and take a look at this, right? We didn't change anything else. We didn't change the white balance values, ISO, focus, nothing. Everything's the same. We're just changing the flavor of the in-camera processing. And this mode, even though it's not the greatest on, you know, a talking portrait kind of thing, it is pretty cool for things like cars, motorcycles, or adding a person next to some things. I use it more than I thought I would. Now, let's go back to the Lumix camera. And you'll see this is more my style, right? This is now the Lumix GH2 set to vibrant mode. Once again, didn't change anything else. Let me hop back to the Fuji camera and I'll show you the film simulation mode for color negative film. All right, now we're back to the Fuji camera. It's in the color negative film simulation mode, which lowers out the contrast. It changes the colors radically, by the way, too. If you're viewing this through our Discover Mirrorless network, hop on the controls down at the bottom and set it to HD. Make sure you're seeing all of this video that you can, right? Now here is the black and white mode. Now, of course, you can shoot your camera in video mode, in color, and then in post-processing, you can change it over to black and white, but you will find out that you'll get a better quality black and white if you allow the camera to make that conversion while it happens. And here's one of my favorites. Now, we're not lit correctly for the dynamic black and white mode, but I use this dynamic black and white mode a lot on the Lumix, and I love it a bunch. It's really cool. And now we're back where we started on the Velovia film simulation mode, which is pretty much standard for what I want to do. Now, I want to be able to make the decisions on what the flavor of my image is going to look like while I'm shooting. And if we do want to do some sort of post-production on top of that, that's all terrific. One more thing. Some photographers were noticing me shooting at the WPPI event in black and white mode, and they asked just, hey, Will, why don't you just shoot raw, and then later you can decide if you want color or you want black and white. I said, well, the real answer is for that is the same thing that we do with selecting black and white video. That is, when I see that black and white image and where the tones are and where the shadows are, I can create a different image when I'm seeing and I'm processing black and white with my brain. That's one of the pluses for me, at least, using a mirrorless camera. When I set a mirrorless camera to work in, say, square aspect ratio, and I want dynamic black and white, and say I want a little bit of a warm tone to it, right? I can set that up in my camera so that when I pull it up to my eye and I look through the finder, I see square, I see tone dynamic black and white. And as far as balancing the composition of my shot and seeing how things are going to feel, I get better images when I do that. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't use DSLRs for hybrid imaging. Of course you can, but I need to get you thinking that the flavor of your images are things that you need to process first, not last. The photographers that are doing all that post-processing and stuff, that's fine. You need to figure out how you're going to do that first. That way you can shoot and create. And trust me, the vast majority of people who are watching this, you're thinking, I want to do all that post-production stuff. Try it pre-post-production. It's all about flavor. And as you move from DSLR to mirrorless, or from mirrorless to mirrorless, or from point and shoot or iPhone up to mirrorless, if you go to a mirrorless camera, choose the mirrorless camera that has the flavor for you. There is a huge difference between the flavor of the Fuji cameras versus the Lumix cameras. I use them both a lot. Add the Sony cameras, the Olympus cameras inside that mix. Find the right one that fits you, right? It's like a good pair of shoes. Got to find out one that fits you. All right, from Crockettville saying thank you for paying attention to my silly vlog posts. Bye. This Discover Mirrorless vlog post is brought to you by the ABCs of LED premium video, available at ShootSmarterUniversity.com. This vlog post is Crockett approved.